Good morning, I'm Chris Davey from Framlingham, and this is Catherine Johnson, also from Framlingham, who is our Sing Praise Director. It's really much more Catherine's project than it is mine, and it seems an important voice for us to hear today. We have our next slide, please. Sing Praise began life in 2019, before I was appointed, and it built on successful after-school club called Holy Horrors, that needed a new direction and a new purpose, and music in Framlingham is very much in vogue, and so it was decided to look at music as a way in to inviting youngsters to begin their journey of faith. So when the project began, it really began with a number of visions to build the foundations of daily faith-based singing through 2 weekly song assemblies in Sir Robert Hitcham C.V. Primary School, which Catherine does. Catherine's a music specialist and a music teacher. To provide a church-led after-school club, particularly in relation to choral singing at family and festival services, and that Catherine's role would help us to develop closer links between the school and the church. Thank you.
Hello, thank you. A typical Sing Praise session, well, it involves biscuits, that's the most important, it seems. We gather the children at the end of their school day, register them as a group, and myself and Chris, along with our fantastic volunteers, we march from school across to church in a giant snake with high-vis coats on. We make quite a stir in Framlingham as we go through. 38 children are currently the maximum we feel we can take, although we do have a waiting list. So we start usually by sharing refreshments and stories of the day, and once they are ready, we gather and look at the songs that we might be singing at the monthly all-age services or at any particular festival, or more recently, we seem to have been very fortunate to have been asked to sing at many different concerts. So we've always got a lot of repertoire to learn. Once we've done our singing, occasionally there's time for craft. We haven't managed that actually since before Christmas. We've been too busy with singing, and then very often the children just like, a little break, 10-minute break, just to chat really and have fun and go into the children's corner, explore the church, sometimes make dens seem popular, and then we gather to sing again at the end of the hour when parents are gathering to collect their children, so they also get to hear and be involved in what we're up to that particular week. Thanks.
Thank you. So how does Sing Praise, how do we worship? We made a conscious decision to, just as we were coming out of COVID, to move Sing Praise from the school premises to the church. We did that so the children could begin to get a real sense of the church as their space. A safe space, they get used to the geography of the building, the acoustic of the building, which is really important for a group of singers. There is a stated expectation that the children will attend the monthly all-age service, but that is an invitation, not we don't really enforce that. Most of our children would come to an all-age service. The monthly all-age Eucharist, it's always Eucharistic, is designed to be completely inclusive and accessible. We have an open table communion policy so that anybody of any age can receive communion at that service. And the song or the music that is being used by the Sing Praise group will be woven into the liturgy. So it might be that lines from songs are woven into some of the spoken liturgy of the church's service. And in that way, the children really feel that they are central to the proclamation of the message. We increasingly include parents and siblings and grandparents too in readings and leading prayers as widely as possible. We are unapologetically family focused. As always, it's never universally popular when you begin to make changes, but we have been very clear with our intentions and from the very beginning, and that's worked really well. And every year we do a production which has very focused and deep Christian themes. So the children have done the 3 trees, the boy, the mole, the fox, and the horse, the selfish giant, and this year we are doing something called Love Song, which is a narrated concert. Catherine, talk about our musical aims.
Yeah. Chris writes all the productions himself. I just think that is worth mentioning because they are absolutely brilliant and have been incredibly well received. Our musical aims. Yeah, so obviously when we get a group of children together, some of them will have sung more than others, so we start really just with them finding their voices. We soon as we can, we start looking at singing in parts, singing a cappella. All of the children as they go through the school get the opportunities to sing in a small group if they feel ready, or if they're ready for a solo, and that's quite contested, isn't it? They mostly want to. We find that by the time the children are in year 6, they're ready to do that. We try and increase their vocal range from just singing a very narrow kind of vocal range of maybe just pop songs. We try and look at their higher registers as well, making sure that we're looking at desk counts and that kind of thing. Chris chooses very often the songs that he will weave into our monthly services. So we explore lots of different types of music, and from the sacred and secular. A lot of our parents have shared with us about increasing confidence as being one of the main outcomes of what they see. And that is an intentional aim to make the children as confident as possible with their singing voices and their speaking voices. Because we take children from year 2 to year 6, so we have children from age 6 to 11, we start to see friendships forging or forming throughout those age groups, which they're very much in their year group in the school, so it's lovely to see the crossover. We very often find that the older children will take a younger child under their wing, look after them through the session, which is, really heartening to see. I suppose my role, one of the main aims, is to be a bridge between the school and the church. So although the school is CVAP school, it's always good to try and encourage more connection with the church, and I think we're definitely doing that through what we're doing at Sing Praise. People and families seem very comfortable to come into the church now, feel very welcomed by Chris's ministry, and I think that's all I is. Yeah.
So how do we disciple? We disciple through inclusivity and welcome. Sing Praise numbers are only limited really by the resources, both human and financial. We have a fantastic group of volunteers. We don't audition. Catherine doesn't audition. Our children and children of all abilities and of any faith are welcome to join. There's a clearly stated requirement that they come to an all-age service on the first Sunday of the month. But like any youth group, we have children with divided families, and sometimes that's just not possible. But in some ways, we become church, well, in lots of ways, we become church on a Tuesday afternoon in Sing Praise. We like the fact that they can be in church that begins to feel like it's their space. We have a clear commitment to safeguarding and clear boundaries and expectations to allow us to make sure that the church and Sing Praise is a safe space. We disciple through music because singing itself is a spiritual experience. The words we sing and use in worship affect who we are and present opportunities to explore life, feelings and faith. In the Christian context and through the services and festivals of the church's year, we give children the opportunities to explore the story of Jesus and the message he comes to bring in an intentional way. Music, as many who run choirs here will know, has the profound ability to disciple people itself in a unique way, reflecting the mystical nature of life. And this ability of music to disciple shouldn't be overlooked. We disciple through example. Our Sing Praise volunteers are in the main church members. Kindness and acceptance are at the heart of our core values, and we seek to shape Sing Praise as a nurturing community, both between volunteers and children and peer-to-peer. And we encourage and recognise when our older children are watchful and careful of our younger children. Could be on the walk from school to church or as part of an activity. And choral singing itself requires listening to each other and at times that difficult bit of allowing others to shine. We disciple by setting faith in the world. We do this by allowing children to see that God's not restricted to the church or even to the sacred. So we often use secular songs, and we'll talk about why that song might be appropriate for worship, what might it tell us about God, what might it tell us about ourselves, what might it tell us about the world, and why that fit in to the service that we're about to have. And we disciple through belonging community. Sing Praise is a family, incorporating not only children and volunteers, but increasingly parents, siblings, and in some instances, grandparents. Through worship, the Sing Praise family experiences itself as part of the church family, a place to belong and a place to be loved. As relationships build, the perceived walls between Sing Praise and the wider church dissolve, and we're finding that's happening increasingly with community too, an ever-deepening journey of discovery. The children regularly sing as an act of service, understanding that's part of our journey too, at community events and in our care homes, particularly around the Christian festivals. So it all builds community in lots of wonderful and varied ways. Catherine, do you want to talk about some of our indicators of success?
Okay. Well, I think the fact that we have a long waiting list means that people children want to join and families want their children to join. So that's incredibly exciting. We would like to take more children, but we're very conscious that we have to keep, especially when we're walking the children from one place to another, we need to keep our numbers safe with our volunteers. We have this waiting list which people are now putting their children on in the nursery, even although they can't come until they're in year 2. So that means that we which is rather lovely. We do find that the children now are very comfortable. They come to church on a Sunday morning for the all age, and they like to sit together. So we've made quite the first 3 or 4 pews are just full of children. They like to leave their parents to, and I think the parents are quite relieved about that because they don't have to actually manage them. But they are generally very engaged. They're at the forefront of the church, at the very front pews, and Chris engages them all the time with questions and conversations. And then the children rejoin their families when it comes to communion, because there's various different ways of going to communion, and whether they take Holy Communion or not, whether they go for a blessing is up to their families. So they go back for a little part of the service to their families. We're finding that lots of people are interested in collaborations, I suppose is the key word, with us. So in a few weeks we're going to sing with an incredibly amazing choir called Albion, and they are really keen to have the Sing Praise children with them. So we're obviously going down the right road with the kind of musicality that the children are gaining. So Chris mentioned about children are becoming very much part of the church family. We have had 2 baptisms, and recently for a bid, Chris canvassed the parents to ask what they felt about Sing Praise, and it was genuinely very overwhelming, their responses, so we were quite moved by that, or very moved by that. Yeah, and again, lots of invitations for Sing Praise. They've sung with an opera singer. They've sung with soon to be a choir. We've sung to raise money for another church, for Saxted Church. I think we've done all sorts of different things. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Catherine. Each year we provide a report to those who offer us funding, which is always gratefully received. And we always have parent voice and children voice as part of that, so we can kind of begin to assess honestly how we're doing. This year we've had some really wonderful feedback which we've just popped up. One of the things I noticed when I first came and we first came back into church from lockdown was that lots of parents would drop their children off at the door at 9:10 on a Sunday morning and then come and pick them up at the door and take them home afterwards. We've really keen to reverse that, and I think we have, so that now most parents will stay for worship and bring other children and other family members. So that's really growing our church family membership, and that's I think reflected in a lot of the comments that came through from our parents. Our final slide. So that our journey continues. We want to continue to do what we do and do really well, continue to reinvigorate the worship that has always existed in the church, but in a new way. We're now beginning to think about how we might access additional funding to help us to reach out to the homeschool community, which is growing in Framlingham, and we'd like to be able to offer something to them. We're looking at a possibility of doing some intergenerational work, based initially in traditional folk songs, and how that might begin to build new opportunities for us. And so doing what we do, thinking about where we might go, undergirding it all with prayer and just asking that whatever we do is of God's will. But we wanted the final words not to be ours, because actually we're a tiny cog of the Sing Praise family. We wanted the final words to be the Sing Praise children themselves. This year for Candlemas we kept Christingle, and so the theme was obviously Light of the World. So we talked to the children about what kind of song might help us to do that. And so we eventually decided on Katrina and the Waves, Love Shine a Lights, which they sang brilliantly. And we've got just a short clip of them in rehearsal, because they can, I think, just the joy on their face. And if you just watch the way they move, the ones at the front, you'll see how comfortable they are and how much their faith has been impacted just by being able to sing and perform. Our mission statement. Thank you.